The number 1 seed Thunder, we talked about it. They've been waiting for a while, got their work done early. 6 days, took them 6 days to sweep the Memphis Grizzlies. And in game 3, they came back from 29 down, second largest playoff comeback in NBA history. My fun little trivia now is that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was a part of number 1 and number 2, because the number 1 was 31 points, 2019 LA Clippers. That being said, they are waiting either the LA Clippers or Denver Nuggets. And it's going to be storylines abound regardless, because it's either the top 2 MVP finishers or Shai against his old team. I don't, what do we even say about Thunder? It's been so long since we watched them play. But, like, you know, it's just kind of methodical, kind of similar with the Cavs. Like, they get their work done so surgically that, like, it's kind of boring. Like people aren't paying attention to it. And it's like, you got to tune in to see what they're doing, because kind of like we talked about the take that Carlin had, like the names aren't household, and it causes us to kind of sleep on how good they are, even down to their coach.
Yeah, I think like the Thunder are a forgotten team right now, because like you said, they took care of business so quick. Took them 6 days, less than a week to sweep the Grizzlies. And now, you know, they've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for what feels like forever. And if this series goes to 7 games, like you and I are predicting it does, you know, they're going to be waiting even into next week before they play their first game. So, you know, they're a team that they have not played a lot of competitive games in the last 2 months, really. Yeah. You know, they had some battles, like they were down by 30 and ended up winning in the first round. That last game ended up being closer than it really felt like. It was kind of like a fake comeback. But I'm not saying that like that's going to hurt them. I'm just saying that like from a media standpoint, like there's a reason that nobody is talking about this team. And it's like, well, what are you supposed to talk about? They're blowing the doors off of everybody they play. So, you know, I still think that they are going to roll through whoever they play in the second round. Like whether that's Denver, whether that's the Clippers, like I really think that the Thunder have been this good all year for a reason, and I'm going to continue to harp on the idea that like Shai did not even play that well in the first round, and it didn't matter because he didn't have to. And you know, whether that's the Nuggets and Jokic they're going against, like obviously pose a completely different threat than like Kawhi and James Harden do. But you know, the Thunder, what makes them so unique is that they have matchups for everybody with the way that team is built, with you know, length and athleticism on the wings, and with 2 bigs and Hartenstein and Chet, who can play off of each other. They can play individually, like whatever it is, and they can score in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be it is Shai every night normally because the guy averages 34 points a game. Basically. But like after that, like, you know, some nights it's J-Dub, some nights it's Chet, some nights iHeart gets it going with that little push shot and just, you know, he's all day with that. But like, the lobs at the rim, some nights it's Aaron Wiggins coming off the bench or Isaiah Joe shooting the lights out. Like they have so many different ways to beat you and so many different ways to defend you that is their biggest strength, their versatility and their depth. In the playoffs where you shorten up rotations and you really rely on the guys that you trust, like Mark Dagnall can really trust like 9 different guys, 10 different guys, like just counting in my head, 9 different guys, 10 different guys in that lineup. And that's where, to me, like it doesn't matter who advances out of that Clippers and Nuggets series. And yes, like you could say, you know, maybe Kawhi's playoff experience will prevail, or like Jokic's, you know, championship experience will prevail. But it's like, I really think the Thunder are just a better team through and through, and I expect them to move on because of it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about. And even going into this round, I think you and I knew that Thunder series wasn't going past 5 games. And I think that we both felt that this Clipper series was going to go 6 or 7 and likely go the distance. And maybe we'll sound silly if the Nuggets get the job done tonight. But whatever happens in that series, we knew that they were going to tire each other out. So you have this Thunder team who really didn't have to sweat in the first round anyway. And they've been resting since they got the job done in 6 days, which, again, as we talk right now, there are 5 days. They haven't played in 5 days, and it'll be another 2 or 3 days before they play again, assuming that series ends tonight. If it doesn't, again, even longer. And you're going to go against these 2 teams who have been going back and forth from LA to Denver, playing in the altitude and all of these things that go within that series, and a physical series where there's been, you know, a little extracurricular happening as well, going down to play this well-oiled machine. And Shai is probably figuring some things out. Again, can play much better than he did, and he didn't even play poorly. He just didn't play up to his standard in the first round. So, you know, that being said, I guess to kind of tinker around and poke with it a little bit, it's going to be difficult for either one. But I'm thinking back to, you know, the gif of LeBron looking back to Kawhi coming in at the scores table back in the finals. Which one of those teams do you think the Thunder would least want to see? Because I think the Clippers present a unique set of challenges, but I don't necessarily know if they have the offensive firepower to keep up with what the Thunder do. And of course, the Nuggets have the best player in the world.
Yeah, that's so tough because like there's part of me that thinks that because the Clippers have, and yes, James Harden is like an up and down playoff performer, but he's still James Harden. But like because they have Harden and because they have Kawhi and like Zubac has been playing really well and Powell can score, like that's to me that team feels like more of a threat. But then at the end of the day, like you said, the Nuggets have the best player in the world and game planning for him is an absolute nightmare. So, I would probably lean that they would rather play the Nuggets just because the Nuggets are, I mean, they have the lowest scoring bench. Oh, actually outside of the Lakers, lowest scoring bench of any team that's left in the playoffs. They haven't gotten any outside of Russell Westbrook, any support from anybody outside of their starting five. And, Jamal Murray has had his ups and downs. Like we saw in this last game, like he can be an absolute killer and go for 40 and do that, but he can also just like not really show up and give you 15 points and leave the Nuggets, hoping for more because they need him to have those big games in order to move on. So, I guess I'm kind of like contradicting myself there because like Jamal Murray is such a, he takes big swings and he's such an X factor, but I think that Denver is just, they don't have the depth. They don't have like the offensive firepower. They don't have the defensive versatility to keep up with Oklahoma City in the way that they play. Where the Clippers, like you're going to get up and down James Harden games, but like with James Harden, with Kawhi, with Norman Powell, with Ivica Zubac, like I feel like that poses a little bit more of a threat to the style of basketball the Thunder play. So I actually think they're kind of rooting for the Nuggets to get it done tonight, or maybe not tonight, but in 7 games. But at the same time, like I still don't really think it matters who advances out of that series because I don't think either of them are beating Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that coming into it, we were wherever side you took in that Clippers Nuggets series, you were high, you were like really high on that team, and it's been such a weird series in that each team has had their own blowout. There have been some comebacks, there have been some furious finishes, and all of those things that we've kind of seen through the cracks and starting to see some of these teams' flaws that, like, again, I guess Thunder aren't flawless. No team is flawless. But it's like, like you said, like, are we really having this conversation? It is what it is. Like, I feel more confident about the other side of the bracket, whoever they meet in the Western Conference Finals. But again, if the Thunder can kind of get this kind of cruise and all this rest on their side, then it could be a pretty methodical way through the Western Conference. So we'll definitely see how that goes. Thanks for checking out NBA Sound System Canada on YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe below and find us wherever you get your podcasts. And on Instagram, we have weekly episodes and bonus content throughout the week.